All right, excellent afternoon to all those who are watching us across the states in Nigeria. I'm really excited today, but let me just, try to contain my excitement. We have our stories and we have our narratives, and of course, our stories are part of our culture. And I'm saying our stories define our past. Our past is to be remember to remind us of our destination, and of course, all of this is still tied down to culture. Again, I say welcome to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. I remain your convener, Kike Lomatanda, and of course I have one of the house husbands in the house, looking really nice in white and blue. How you doing, house husband?
Now I'm pretty sure that something is fishing. Last time I was on this set, Kike almost introduced me as one of the house husbands. And now she came out with it. I have one of the house husbands. Guys, you guys will tell me what's really fishing. Let's hear your comment on our Instagram and YouTube pages. My name is Marshall Anthony Onoye, and I am the only house husband, to the best of my knowledge, on the RTWK show. Welcome.
All right, on the RTWK show on TV, you're the only house husband, but on radio, I have two husbands who are fighting between themselves. Maybe that's the reason why I keep bringing the narrative to TV. Anyways, on this day in history segment is about the Benin bronzes and of course the artifacts that were stolen in the early 20th century, and some of the bronzes are being returned from the UK. Let's hear more on this story on our this day in history segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is the return date for the Benin Bronze Agreed Jesus College. And the first institutional return of its kind, Jesus College is to return the Benin Bronze to Nigeria's National Commission for Museums and Monumentums on Wednesday, 27th of October, 2021. Delegates from the Commission and Benin will visit Jesus College for a ceremony to complete the handover process and celebrate the rightful return of the bronze. His Royal Majesty Oba of Benin, Omonobanedo Ukua Polopolo Eware II said, "We are indeed very pleased and commend Jesus College for taking this lead in making restitution for the plunder that occurred in Benin in 1897. Finally, we wish to thank the student body of Cambridge University for bringing to light the historical significance of this revered piece of the Royal Court of Benin. It's worthy of note that our father attended Cambridge University but was then Prince Solomon Akenzua. He later ascended the throne of our forefathers as Omonoba Erediawa, Oba of Benin."
All right, Marshall, let me come to you quickly. What's your take on this history segment?
Stolen artifacts being returned. Well, it's for me. It's a reminder of the progress that's been done towards negotiating the assets, especially cultural assets that were stolen from Africa, stolen from Nigeria, especially the Benin Kingdom, back then in the heat of the slave trade era. And then we've gone this far to negotiate its return and to have the European Britons, admit that they will be returning them. But, back home here, I do not like the conflict and crisis it seemed to be generating. We should have just set machineries to repatriate these artifacts and then reintegrate them into the system, whether on a cultural level, traditional level, or just on a social level. The issue it is creating between the governor of Edo State and the Oba of Benin, to me, doesn't make any sense. I mean, these guys will be looking at us and saying, you guys seem to be a bunch of confusion. We're giving you back your property. You should know where the origin of this artifacts, should be. Whether we choose to make a museum out of it or we want to return it back to the original places where they were. It should have been something we would have synergized before the return of those artifacts. That's for me.
Fantastic summation, but at the same time, I think I want to first off, give kudos to what's the name of this college again, Jesus College, for actually facilitating the return of this artifact, because as far as I'm concerned, I just feel that the students of Cambridge University as well, in partnership with Jesus College, were the ones that actually look for how to facilitate the synergy of unity in returning it to Africa, regardless of how our people are. You know, sometimes I really don't want to pay attention to the character of our leaders, because the Obas, so to speak, are also part of the leaders in terms of community development and the likes and all of that. But don't let me forget the fact that, you know, the Oba of Benin at the time, I think, what's his name again?
Oba Nodel.
Oba Okpokpolokopokpo. Please, pardon. The name was too much for me to
You could just pass with Oba Nodel.
But, you know, the fact that at least he paid kudos to them for actually facilitating this and the like. Yes, it's been there for decades, you know, but the fact that they still have the effort. Sometimes I tell people jokingly, though, that it's the spirit of all those artifacts that to return it to us. But all the same, I said many thanks to them. At least I pray that eventually we'll use it to do something meaningful to educate the youth of today, and especially when it comes to the importance of culture. I think that is very important for me right now. But on this note, I think it's important for us to get a quick message from our sponsors. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with us. Most of the time, when we speak about old Nollywood movies, the conversation always drifts to how much witchcraft was featured and whether that had an influence on the way people viewed Nigeria and Africa as a whole. So the movie's opening scenes as well, I need to emphasize on that, because I remember vividly sometimes when I'm being forced to watch this movie, all you first of all see is aggressive plot and featured blood money and rituals. It's very refreshing to see that the current industry today is moving away from such narrative. And this is not to say that the old Nollywood movies were not great, but to say that growth must be acknowledged. And on this platform, we acknowledge growth and we associate with growth. And with Nollywood being the second largest movie industry globally, it shows that Africans are consuming what we produce, and which is great for the continent. It's also indicating that storytelling goes beyond borders. Would I say borders, seeing that the movies are also in Netflix right now. When you go on Netflix, you see all sorts of Nigerian movies, and I must say I'm proud. So guys, let me hold my breath. On the show today, we had discussing the African narrative and storytelling from our Nollywood movies, and of course, how they have portrayed us as Africans. And also, we'll be talking about Soólè. But to discuss this real talk with us is a legend, and I must say a legend, and one of the most successful female artists in Nollywood. I think it's important for us to see her profile. Stay with us. All right, welcome to the show, Adunia Day. It's a pleasure to have you live from Real Talk. Can I also put Chief in the She's my girlfriend. Yes, because I like to have the show with beauty. How are you doing, my darling?
I am great. Thank you guys for having me here.
We're glad to have you. Masha, spill. You want to talk, or what exactly is on your mind?
I have so much of you already. So, I mean, I'll be drooling over her. Anyway, it's beautiful to have you
Thank
come join
you.
us. Yes,
Thank
welcome.
you.
All right, fantastic. Let's just go straight to the topic at hand, and I would like by starting with your project. Before the whole industry, as far as I'm concerned, Soólè has actually made 51 million before the whole industry, and I feel that 51 million the first, let's say first 9 weeks. I hope I'm correct. At the box office, making it about 10 Nollywood movies thus far in terms of cinemas since 2021.
Yes.
Let me my first question to you is that when are we going to have our own share of that 51 million naira? Let's start from there.
When?
Yes, when. And the second question will be that what did the entire movie mean to you as executive producer of the movie for the first time as an actor?
First of all, as far as that money is concerned, that's how much I made gross. And then what came back to me is not that amount, so don't worry, but I got you. In terms of it being my first project, it means the world to me. It's not an easy task to make a film. And then for an actor to cross over and become a filmmaker, it's difficult because, people are wondering, can this person pull it off? You're wondering, can you pull it off? It's a different ball game entirely, but it means the world to me that on my first project, it was shot right. The story was great. When it was in cinemas, Nigeria at large, embraced it. I am very grateful. And then now it being on Netflix, I am still, my emotions are just all over the place because I did not expect this. Twitter was going crazy the whole of last week. My social media, calls, messages from folks that I didn't even think would even take time out to watch. So it's a great feeling, and it's also putting me on my toes because this is not going to be the end of it. This is just the beginning. So it's like more
hard work.
There you go.
Well, before we go into industry discussion properly, let's still touch a little bit on Soólè. You've been an actress all along in front of the camera, and now you're behind the camera directing, and I'm sure...
No, I'm not a director.
Oh, producing.
Yes.
Yes, equally behind the camera. Anyway, I'm sure that there were, as an actress being in front of the camera, as an actor, there were several things you would have thought, can the producers tweak this? Can the directors tweak this? As an actress, as a performing act. Now you're a major stakeholder calling the shots. Did you have that kind of intuition that your actors could be thinking, couldn't the producers have tricked this? Couldn't the directors have done this differently? Did you have some kind of infusion of that intuition that you used to have as an actor?
Of course, and I still do. Because me producing has not stopped me from being on set. And everything that I talk about while filming, or maybe I chip in here and there, I made sure that all those things were also put into consideration when I was filming. I come from a very professional background, so I expect that to, come along with me in everything that I do. I don't want to call myself a perfectionist because no one is perfect, but near to that. When I see things, when we were filming Soólè and, I wanted it a certain way, I had the best team working with Kayode Kassim as my director. He is someone you can easily speak to, talk to, you can infuse one or two things. And as far as I know, there was no complaint whatsoever on my set. Everybody was treated accordingly, respectfully, and how they should have been treated, both the cast and the crew. But if there was any issues, I don't know of any, but my work ethics travels anywhere I go, and that reflects on my work as well.
Fantastic summation, and I can say that when it comes to akim of professionalism, if you watch Soólè, it reflects that. Okay, moving away from that, let's talk about the foreign market. As far as I'm concerned, I feel the foreign market and our movies, Nigerians and non-Nigerians, especially those in diaspora, crave for our movies, Nigerian movies. And I would like to ask, Nigerian movies and of course the foreign market, and I feel that the foreign market is bigger than our local market today. I to be corrected by you, but how have you been able to maximize the proceeds, from your movie today?
Of course, Hollywood is big, and it's been big from the beginning of time. And to be on that top chart with an industry like Hollywood, you know, it speaks highly of the Nigerian market as in terms of filmmaking. We have come a long way, regardless of if you want to admit now, you know, from back then to now, you know, people are putting in everything they have just to create the right story, to tell the right story. It's a good thing when, you know, Hollywood wants to tell that African story, but it is more rewarding, more appealing, and more just, it's just better when true Africans are the ones telling their story, and that's what's happening with Nollywood right now. I, for one, I mean, everyone knows I'm biracial, but I am more with the Nigerian culture because that's what I know. And I have sworn from day one when I registered my film company that I will tell the true Nigerian story, and that's the path that I'm on.
All right, Basha, just pardon me, you know, still tilting towards the story and our narrative. I think that Nollywood is an excellent reminder of how we can tell our stories as Africans, and especially when it comes to us owning our experiences. I feel that those are some of the things that is also missing because we want to tilt towards the global appeal and the likes and all of that.
Right.
So, you know, listening to you right now through your own lenses, or should I say our lenses, because that's the way of us being authentic on this platform. Does this mean that we can never, will I say, do scientific friction? I feel that those are some of the things that are missing in some of our movies today. Or can I say that maybe all these gallant movies, you know, all these high-rising buildings,
we
and
have done that.
So what? Okay,
we have done that.
Yeah.
There's a movie, I was actually featured in it. It was produced by Mr. Adedeji Ratnick. We shot that many years ago, and it took him, if I'm not mistaken, damn near 5 years to edit and to bring to the cinemas to Nigerians.
Friction.
Yes, and scientific type movie. And how I wished, you know, it did way better than it did. But you have to understand the Nigerian market. You know, sometimes when you bring something new, you know, people may not you know,
easily accept it.
Yeah, so it's a work in progress. Before the Hollywood got to where they are, you know, they have done so many things before. You know, you see people jumping out of the planes and, you know, jumping off the buildings, and then, you know, all this, what do you call them?
Effects.
Superheroes and all these, you know, things that wow us.
Movie effects.
Yes. But you got to start from somewhere. You know, everyone has what they prefer to showcase in terms of in cinema. But like I've said, I want to tell the true Nigerian story. And that's what I did with Soólè, because I touched on sexualism, religion, tribalism, never judging a book by its cover. You know, you're on the bus with different type of people. You don't know who is who. And at the end of the day, everybody is the suspect, and you're wondering, okay, who is behind what's going on? Yeah, and the end, you know, the plot, the twist, the suspense, it was just crazy.
The intrigue.
Yeah.
For me, I'd like to ask you a very critical question. Over the years, like you said, we've been celebrating Nollywood itself, has been celebrated, especially coming down the thread and then side by side Hollywood. You know, it's something to say uhuru for, but so many, I wouldn't want to say critics, but I mean, so many people just do think that it's not uhuru yet for Nollywood in terms of the quality that comes out of Nollywood. It's been criticized to say it's an industry of quantity in terms of the rating and the ranking that's been given to it, and has generated so much attraction, giving it the second largest movie industry in the world. That was based on quantity as far as, you know, critics are concerned, and they are now looking at quality.
There is quality.
How would you say we've fared?
If we go into that topic, I don't think this segment would contain it. If you want change has to start with you. There are so many hidden things that you don't know, don't see. And I don't wish to get into that. But to say that we don't give quality, we do. And like I said, everything is a work in progress. This is not to discredit the OGs, those that have done it from, you know, the beginning of time. But you can honestly say that where we were as an industry, as a film industry, is not where we are today.
Right.
Look at the likes of Antimo Abudu and Kunle Afolayan, even Femi Adebayo, and so many other people.
Dunia Diwale.
Thank you.
Yes.
You know, getting, you know, that recognition with Oscar. It's amazing. Was this ever available 10, 15 years ago? No. The musical aspect was getting recognition far back as Two-Face and D'banj and all these other legends in the musical industry. So it's a work in progress. It's just sad that people do not give you that chance to grow. You know, people are like, you have to do this, and why haven't you done this? Like, people take a cheap pill, like just one step at a time. You cannot say that we're not evolving and we're not improving. And it can only get better.
Fantastic submission. I think it's important for us to get a message from our sponsor. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, glad to know you're still with us. In case you just joined the show, today's conversation is around Adunni Ade. That's our guest, Adunni Adewale to be precise, and popularly known as Adunni Ade. She is the executive producer of the movie Soólè, and we are having real talk on African storytelling in our movies and, of course, the global perception. And I must say many thanks for all your submission thus far. But quickly, let me open our phone line because I know there are quite a number of your fans that might want to connect with you right now. Remember, you can be part of this conversation by calling the studio numbers 08988 77400 showing on your screen right now. And remember that we're streaming live on Facebook and both on the Silverbird platform and on Real Talk with Kike and on YouTube as well. Let me put that in. You know, I did just like Masha was, you know, emphasized during our break that, you know, we can just keep listening to you and not even do anything again. But quickly, you know, we see a lot of collaboration now in the music industry, just like you mentioned earlier regarding D'banj, Two-Face, and where our big, you know, talent, you know, they roll with big talents in I don't want to say just US, you know, all over the world. You know, we've also seen the likes of Beyonce and Wizkid as well, you know, collaborate, and we saw what that collaboration brought for them in terms of, you know, awards and the likes, hanging out. But, you know, listening to you and how intelligent you are, and how I know that you pay attention to professionalism, because I feel that when you've been in the corporate space and you're now moving into another field of work, there's no how you will not bring that into whatever you're doing. That is what corporate world actually teaches you and all of that. You know, listening to you, I cannot help, you know, trying to compare you with the likes of Tom Cruise, Sandra Bullock, and the likes and all that. And I'm just wondering, you know, the roles in the American movies, you know, is it that they don't fit us, or they don't fit, you know, people like you, knowing that you have that talent to showcase what you have and for us to actually feature those stars in our movies? Or is it just there's an industry divide? Maybe that's the word to use right now.
You know, sometimes if you don't know something, you just don't know. We're evolving. There are also actors, filmmakers here who are also collaborating with Hollywood. These things take time, and you have to understand that sometimes other people may not be so open to accepting others. You know, it has to go through a process, and I think the process is where we're at. With Kunle Afolayan, he's someone that I do admire a lot. With his movie, he does have Hakim in there, and Hakim is a Hollywood star. And I think they're friends on a, you know, personal level. So that's him infusing Hollywood. And I know some of our Nigerian stars, or even African stars, right, whether it's here in Nigeria, in Ghana, in South Africa, they have also featured in Hollywood.
And if you've seen what happened to Women King,
exactly, Viola Davis, and then Jimmy, he's a friend of mine. So it has to start from somewhere. I'm hoping, and I know that it will get better. We will get there, where everyone is going to see us as the same, rather than, you know, you know, the tribal or the racial.
Ethnicity.
Exactly. So
We've come from an industry that was so liked, that was so. When we talk about the movies that were in the 80s, yeah, maybe late 70s, early 80s, early 90s, you talk about the likes of those that birthed Nollywood, like Rattlesnake and their likes, and
even way before then.
even way before
We're talking
them.
about Ogungbe and
Exactly.
and even Afolayan, the Afolayon's father,
Exactly.
and so many other people from way back.
You know, that has had a grip on us so much so that we tend to want to have a relief of them. That is, to relieve them again. And I think that's what's given birth again to the rebirth of the times. And you'd see movies like Rattlesnake, Ahana coming back
Nneka
to
the
play.
Pretty
Nneka the Pretty
Serpent,
Serpent, exactly.
yes.
But again, I'm wondering, they are coming back, they seem to be coming back at a time when a whole lot of things are different.
happening, yeah.
I mean, those were the days of the Vitamax or Betamax or VHS, you know, and you play with your, you know, and then the DVDs. Now we have just plug and play and downloads, and then you go subscribe online.
Cinemas
that.
are also evolving.
Evolving
You're
as
having,
well.
you know, to sit at the comfort of your home
And do a
watch.
cinema. So
yeah.
I'm wondering, what would the metrics be like? Would it be like in terms of revenue and income generation? Are they expected to see a change from what they generated in the time past to now? Are they really making money with, you know, the remake of these movies?
I really can't say because it's not my production. You know, they can say they're making money. They can say they're not. I really don't know. I wasn't part of any of that production. But as a filmmaker, I think something needs to be done for us to, you know, in as much as we put in so much funds into making a film, we have to be able to get something back rather than we be at a loss. That's something that has to be looked into. I don't know if, you know.
But would you lend your talent to the remake of those movies that had a hold on us?
Of course, of course. There are quite a few that I was like, I want to be in this. I want to do this because I watched it when it first came out. But you know, if there's a good story and the pay is right, hey, I'll be available.
Remake it.
All right, fantastic, fantastic one. I wish I can touch on the reorientation part of our people. When I say our people, I'm talking about the old Nollywood actors, you know, in terms of how they've been able to embrace the new Nollywood producers and actresses. I don't know if you actually faced any of these challenges, you know, in terms of, you know, reorientation of our people, without not pointing fingers at people, because my hands, Shafi Bello, you know, because of the relation between us, I understand some nitty-gritty of what happens in industry, and I really don't want to actually gaslight the industry, so to speak, because I know that in every organization there's always one thing or the other, and the likes and all that. But I must ask you, you know, as a talented legend actor that you are, where you do face any of those challenges, you know, in the industry?
Goodness gracious.
We keep it real on this platform.
Don't ask me questions because I don't know how to lie. I tell you like it is. But of course, you know, different platforms, I've been asked certain things. From my background, when I moved to Nigeria, I actually was flying from the States to Nigeria to film, and then I'll go back. And eventually I took that time out to say, you know what, this is what I want to do. And someone that I admire so much till date, Ramsey Noah, I met him in Maryland, and we had lunch in a mall, an open place in DC. And it was just beautiful to see different people from different part of Africa walk up to him, run up to him. I mean, everyone was in awe, and I just sat there and, you know, holding my breath like, oh my goodness, like, he's that big. Yes, this could happen. And he advised me then, and that is still what I hold on to today. He said, Adeni, you look like someone who would, he said, there are two ways to make it. Either you go through the fast route, you get to the top real quick, or you fall right back down and you have to crawl again. Or you take the slow path. It's gonna be slow, it's gonna be draining, it's gonna be hurtful, many tears, sleepless nights, whatever. But when you get there, You're going to be there for a very long time. And it's very evident that that's the path he chose, because there's nowhere he walks into, you will notice him. And he said, Adoni, you look like that's the path you're going to be on, just from the second time him meeting me. And he said, if you want to make it in Nollywood, you have to move to Nigeria. You have to be in people's faces. So I quit my job, myself, my children. I moved to this country. I have been gone for a long time, starting afresh. You know, the culture shock for my kids. Life has evolved. Things have been done differently in Nigeria. And I stuck through everything. Of course, I had my own down moments. I had so many things has happened. At the time when I felt like my career was going to be taken off to another, realm or space, it just went down. And then I'm like, okay, what happened? So out of that hurt, that anger, that frustration, built Soólè, built Loel & Clara Company Limited.
Fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. Marshall, quickly, listening to you, I was almost moved to emotion, because as far as I'm concerned, I appreciate consistency. I feel that is what is missing in the youth of today when it comes to, I want to blow quickly for lack of a better word, let me use the street word.
Right.
And talking about Soólè, I want you to let us into this recent project. Let's talk about Soólè. Soólè was a hit, or it's still a hit, let me put it like that. And in what new hit should we be expecting again when it comes to your movie in the next month? Because I know that you're somebody who understands what it means to put your hand in a good project and follow the step. What other new hit should we be expecting from Adoni Ade?
Just expect greatness. I'm not the kind of person that talks too much. I let my work do the talking, let it speak for itself. Yes, but best believe that whatever comes from me, big or small, it's going to be a hit. It's going to be filled with greatness.
Fantastic.
And it's going to tell the true Nigerian story.
Now we've got, I wouldn't necessarily say up and coming actors, or generally people that are looking up to you, role model, you're the role model. They're wondering, hearing your story, how you met with Ramsey Noah, and then he was such an inspiration to you, taking a leap of faith, relocating to Nigeria, and then starting off.
Because he looks like me. I familiarized with him.
Right.
He's someone that looks like me.
And
I wanted to say this. You were speaking about Hollywood, opening doors for us to come through. But you have to understand that it's been tough for me, because a lot of stories are not made for people who look like me.
Yeah.
So to get that edge, to get that advance, to go forward with this acting career has been difficult. Hence why I made my film. If you're not going to call me to work, I'll call you. I'll pay you. And I'll put a great movie out there.
Fantastic. So my question would be, or rather more like, what I'd like for you to do is to talk to people who look up to you, who they've also equally tried and failed. Some are wondering just how to try. They never even got up the first foot. Some have actually tried and are there and struggling with their challenges. I'd really need you to talk to them, reach out to people out there wondering how they can take off.
Well, right there, right?
Yes.
All right. So I'm speaking to you. Regardless of whatever career field that you're in, know that you're going to have ups and downs, but never give up. Never belittle your own standards to fit someone else's lifestyle. You're an adult, you know what is right, you know what is wrong. Stick to your gut feeling and keep pushing. The sky is only the starting point, and I wish you greatness.
All right, fantastic one right there.
Thank you very much.
Apologies for keeping you waiting. I wanted Adoni Ade to give a submission on that. But quickly, many thanks for calling. What's your contribution on the topic at hand?
Yes.
From Benin.
I want to thank the Nollywood.
Right.
Those days we used to run after foreign movie and music. But now, I tell you, the Nigerian music, film industry, they have done marvelous well. All of them, I think they need our commendation. There's no doubt about it. I'm so thrilled about You can name them. Our own person here, recently, he premiered the game. You see how the game went. All over the world. I'm talking of landlords. You talk of the music industry. You are talking of Davido. You are talking of Whiskey. See, they have brought glory to Nigeria. And I want to commend the federal government. They have also assisted them. Government, in one word, or that they have assisted them. I want to see comment. That is only industry I'm seeing in Nigeria that at least is thriving. So I wanted to continue. Kudos to them. That's my contribution.
Fantastic,
Thank
Osas,
you
for your contribution on the topic at hand. But quickly, let me touch on this. You know, you have won awards at Adi. You know, you have had scores of films under your wings. You know, in terms of the reporter that is out there. You know, you have a successful career. That's how I would like to address it in terms of your workings. And I like the fact that you paid attention to, you've emphasized on the works of your hands and all of that. Aside your career, I know you're a mother of two, a fantastic woman at that, because I know you closely like that. Yes, I don't just put my words down there, guys, like that. So I'd like to ask you, what are your priorities in terms of parenting in this new age of technology? Because I feel that technology now is what is driving our children of today.
Well, my children do have access to phones, computers, social media, but I am on them like this. I allow them to experience life, know life, and also to guide them. I'm not going to wait till you fall into a bad trap and then tell you, okay, don't do it this way. I'm going to be there every step of the way. And that's the best thing you can give a child, is to be there, be present. Don't just be a parent, but be present.
Intentional about
exactly. So everything I do about my kids, regarding my kids, it's always intentional. Well, me in general. Yeah.
The caller, Osas, who called in, and he talked about, he actually thanked the federal government and all that. I'd like to ask you.
Thank them for?
Well, support that probably like us, he's also been hearing about federal government grants to Nollywood, the music industry and all of that. That's one area I'd like to ask you about. Has there been any kind of, have you been privy to any kind of assistance from the federal government coming into the industry?
Or the state government?
Zero, nada. So that's why I asked.
So what would you say, aside from industry stakeholders, from the largest stakeholder, that is the government itself, what would you say, and then environment itself, what would you say is the major problems impeding the success of movie production or movie producers, the industry generally, producers like you? Funding.
Or could it be that, you know, the state government or the federal government are very selective with the kind of people they want to work with? Do
you think so?
Because I feel that they are quite, you know, the likes of what's her name? Peter. What's her name again?
Peter Doce?
No, not Peter Doce. This that owns a restaurant down this street. She's also a producer. Bolanle Austin Peters and the likes of Moabudu and the likes. I know that there's been a lot of collaboration with them and state government and of course federal government as well. What do you think that is actually stopping them from, you know, expanding their collaboration to artists like you?
I really don't know. I really can't say. I have not explored that. I don't know if they have those doors open to everyone. I don't know if it's just a selected. The likes
of Commissioner of Tourism and all of that.
So far it's just been private, personal?
This is my first project and everything came from me.
Personal effort?
Yes, came from me. No funding from no government support. So if they have funding, I'm not aware of that. I would love to.
Yes,
I didn't know that. Yeah. But if that's something that is open to every filmmaker, then it should be open to everyone. You know, there shouldn't be stipulation. I mean, you should have your rules and regulations, but you know, it should be. I don't want to say what I want to say, but you get the drift, right?
I didn't know that Bank of Industry has something to do with Nollywood industry. And
I know they do as well. I know they do as well.
You might want to explore that,
hopefully, because I got a lot of stories to tell.
You've got your colleagues in the industry, so you could as well talk with them. and find out what it is.
All right, I think I'll be ending on this note that there's an anonymous person out there who would like to support you with $500,000 towards your movie. The person just sent me a message, saying that they would like to support you. So you can actually get any of your few fans, who would like to, in terms of giveaway and all of that.
Right.
That's the best that comes from this platform sometimes when people come in.
Thank
I would say
you.
best of luck at everything that you lay your hands
you.
on, and we hope that Soólè, another project that you will be, venturing into, will become a success just like you have. All right, quickly. So we are just, wrapping up on this segment, and we are moving on to the last segment of the show, which is trending stories. We call it stories that bind us together as Nigerians, stories that interest us, like Masha likes to call it. But the first trending story that caught our attention is that of the CBN that released a redesigned, of Naira notes in December. Masha, let me come to you quickly. What's your take on this?
Well, so much has been said about CBN redesigning the Naira notes to stem the tide of corruption. But people are wondering, is this the right time? And with this government, so many things they do, so many moves they make or take, you take all of that with a pinch of salt and suspicion. I took this met me with a mixed reaction as to, okay, the times are hard, economy is down, inflation is up. Could this be some measures to stem that tide? They have outrightly said corruption. I do know that when Kike and I, and even Aduni here, go to the bank with the monies they've been keeping in their houses to deposit in the bank for exchange of the new one. I mean, the EFCC guys have been, grinning with excitement to say they're waiting for Kike to bring all that Naira and put in the bank, and they'll just come at hand and say, where did you get this? How did you get? That's one way. As a security expert, I would say that's one way to say, to get the guys that are the bad guys. But it also leaves so much to imagine. Elections are around the corner. Some people have said, look, these guys are just finding ways to grab a hold of funds. Remember that these monies would not be printed plucked from the tree. They will be printed, and you would use monies, other funds, to make those monies. So a cost will be given out as well. So someone is going to be making money somewhere. Also, remember that somebody is in charge. We've seen the CBN's culpability or conspiracy with this current administration. Remember, he came out for the primaries and he wanted to contest for a particular position, and people called him out. Buhari was expected to have retired him or withdrawn him, but he's still there. So much is being looked into. Conspiracy, if you may, fact, if you may, I do not know. But I take this with a mixed reaction.
Talking about mixed reaction, I think I'm coming from your hand, but I know that there are some Nigerians, upon seeing this news yesterday on socials, will be wondering, sign that many will be saying, is that the priority of the CBN at the moment, amidst all the inflation, all the devaluation and of Naira at the moment? I'm just wondering. However, according to CBN again, the new note will be introduced, I think they said on December 15th to be precise, and the current one would cease to be a legal tender by February 1st. And it is important for us to enlighten ourselves, or those who are watching us right now, in terms of the the rationale for such policies by the CBN, knowing that CBN would not also expose the reason behind such. Yes, you've emphasized on certain things, but I know that CBN takes measures like this to do a minimum of at least two things. The first thing that came to mind is the fact that to give room for looters of current currency, a currency note, to deposit this currency back into the bank, whether directly or indirectly. However, I also feel that the second one is to kind of render the money useless, for those of them who have embezzled money, and of course in terms of repatriation to financial institutions. So in my mind, what we picked from all of this was what came to mind, listening to it yesterday, and also discussing with my fiance. He was talking about, okay, no, this is the angle I'm coming from. I feel that, the governments themselves, they know the looters among themselves. That's the whole rationale for me. And I feel that even within the CBN, they know the hidden financial crime perpetrators as well. I just feel that sometimes they just like to, furnish unnecessary information on social. That's the reason why I feel that I'm of the opinion that maybe sometimes we need to regulate some of the information that comes on social media, because they just make a nuisance of themselves. Yeah, we keep it real on this one. Well, I also hope and pray that, you know, these measures work, because those who loot our monies, Masha, they loot it in dollars.
In dollars, exactly.
They loot it in pounds. So can CBN governor actually readdress us by saying that we are addressing this issue to those who are perpetrators of this one? Quickly, what's your take on this, Atanda-Owo? You see how she answered me with laughter.
Is this the right time?
Yeah.
Exactly.
We have floods everywhere. There are people who are homeless, stranded. This is not the right time. There are more important things that the government can focus on rather than wanting to change the Naira or print out something. You're going to be using money to make money. Why not use that money to save your people? That's all I got to say.
All right, so talking about save your people, I think that leads us to the second trending story where, you know, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry donated to those flood victims. You know, Masha, let me come to you. Listening to Atanda-Owo right now about her leaders, you know, those people who we will put in the corridor of power, who do not prioritize our people or show empathy. What's your take on this?
Well, I think we've just said it all. I mean, she has said there's flood everywhere. You have emphasized that, look, even somebody who is a foreigner, even though we've heard recently that, you know, she has said she has Nigeria flowing in her veins. I don't want to say half Nigerian, but because that's not what it is. She's got a part of Nigeria. I think 43% she said of her ancestry is Nigeria. Well, it says a lot about how we look at ourselves and how others too, the international world, look at us. I mean, the Naira will continue to nosedive. Somebody has said, because we do not attach value to it, just the same way we do not attach value to ourselves. Our people, I mean, their bodies, graves are being exhumed by this flood. And then people that died in this floods, you would see bodies floating on these waters. And then what we can think of as the central bank of money, as the central bank of federal government, is how we are going to deploy billions into producing new money. If that was so noble as it is, why don't you put it in futuristic perspective that after the elections, when the APC wins again in your mind, you know, that this can come to play, you know, and not putting so much money into that. We've got a crisis. Megan, what can we say but to say thank you? Very noble gesture. We appreciate that. But shame on Nigerian leaders. Shame on, I mean, somebody was talking about Atiku throw 50 million naira for grant. I said, where Trump? I thought it was literally throwing 50 million naira for grant, but the person meant he donated 50 million naira to the flood victims. And I was like, 50 million? Well, thank you. That's what I can say.
Touching on this 50 million naira that Atiku donated, again, let me emphasize that he donated this money in Kano. 50 million naira. Tinubu to Ashwaju Bola Tinubu also donated 100 million naira. Why Peter Obi went there with 5 million naira and brought, you know, cameras and the lights and all of that. You know, even though Peter Obi didn't donate in Kano, but the two, you know, leading, I don't want to say presidential candidate. You know, I'm wondering, is flood affecting Kano people? Can you please help me? It seems as if we've turned everything into a political gesture, and I feel that it is very simple, and I understand why the likes of Meghan, you know, will be donating to flood victims. You know, this is what happens when you've told the world that you are 43%, you know, Nigerian, and I'm happy that she's giving back, you know, to our roots. And I feel that with what, you know, since this announcement, I feel that from our own people, you know, there will be empathy that will come towards Meghan now, with the fact that, you know, she has been able to say that I want to align with my roots, I want to still do some findings and the likes and all of that. But I want people to understand that these people, you know, they've added positively to our country, while our leaders, so to speak, you know, they are actually engrossed with 2023 election with no empathy, you know. So some say that, oh, they understand why she has refused, you know, to conform to the British royal family standard because Nigerian blood. You know us now, we always rebel, you know, and they like. But however, what are the lessons for me, you know, with what she has done? And again, never forget that your roots, she's very proud of where she's from, and she's saying, I want to do more finding. She can come out tomorrow and say that, oh, I'm from Igbo, I'm from Yoruba, or I'm tilting towards the north.
You see, tribal sentiments is coming in again.
No, it's not just about that, but at least we all have one or
Nigeria
two.
Is Nigeria.
No, regardless. I really want to know where she, so that I know whether I want to Akikelomo Ganoluwa something to her. So many of us, you know, some, you know, foreign passport holders today, do you understand, who do not even want to associate themselves with Nigerians, who do not also want to say that I'm Nigerian, and I feel that this is sad. And if Megan can come out to say that I'm tilting towards, I'm a Nigerian, I'm this, there are quite a number of people. My children, regardless of whatever British or American passport that they hold today, I keep emphasizing that this is where you come from. Your mother is from Isale Kolowo Igataiwo, but your mother, your grandmother is from Delta State, you know, and also, so it's important for us to teach our children and take ownership of where we are coming from, our culture. Our culture must not devolve. And I think that the second lesson for me is the fact that she is teaching world leaders and rich influential personalities that it is time for us to actually start being humane. You know, I feel that lacks amongst our leaders. That's the reason why sometimes when people ask me, Kike, what are you voting for? I say I'm confused. And like Adunia Ade is not benefiting from one of these. Should I take that back? Benefiting from Z. But this, I just feel that the world right now, you know, we need to adjust, you know, especially with this disaster. And lastly, you know, for those who are running commentary in my ears, let me put this out there, is the fact that you don't need profit from people or directly from their system before you can help people. Do we need to understand that the little that you drop out there is going to change somebody's life? In terms of bilateral relations, you know, we need to start reckoning with ourselves. I'm talking to those people who are in diaspora right now, not that they'll start calling us and the likes, you know, just, you know, follow the immigration statistics and see how you can be of added value to your country, you know. And with all of this, you know, let me just keep my breath before they start running commentaries. Unfortunately, that I might not be able to take, but quickly in 30 seconds, can you drop your submission on this, on Megan's donation?
Good of her.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Kike, I love your submission.
Thank you.
I
And
really
on this note, I think this is where we draw the curtains of the show. And I must say many thanks to our resourceful guest, Aduni Ade. Her name is Aduni Adewale. Yes, I want to emphasize on that Adewale because I feel that quite a number of people, when I was telling my girlfriends that, oh, Aduni Ade, Adewale, they said, Adewale, Aduni Ade. Excuse me. All right, many thanks again, Aduni Ade. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. And remember to put a smile on somebody's face and be kind to one another. My name is Kike Atanda-Owo. You are
Marshall Anthony Onoye, and she is Aduni Ade. Bye-bye.
Bye now.